Federal versus state in the 21st century. I'm Alexander Hamilton, and I'm at the Constitutional Convention as an ambassador from the state of New York. I helped write the Federalist Papers and support a strong federal government.
I'm here representing Virginia at the Constitutional Congress. Along with Alexander Hamilton and John Jay, I helped write the Federalist Papers and am a strong Federalist, which means that I campaign for a strong central government.
I, James Monroe, was elected to the House of Delegates. However, I was left off the Virginia delegation in the Constitutional Convention. I'm part of the ratifying convention and have a strong objection to parts of the Constitution. I am an anti-federalist.
As many of you know, I am a proud member of the Virginia Committee of Correspondence and serve in the Virginia House of Burgesses. I'm notorious for my famous "Give me liberty or give me death" speech. I'm an anti-federalist.
Hi everyone, my name is Sam Adams and I helped organize the Boston Tea Party as well as being one of the people who signed the Declaration of Independence. It's obvious that our current government has a lot of problems. I think it's about time we settled this division of power dispute once and for all.
With all the power it has, the federal government could easily take away the people's rights. We don't want this government to be too tyrannical.
This new constitution will be the key to a stronger union. We can't have the citizens running around and doing whatever they want, the way they were under the Articles of Confederation.
We made a horrible mistake when the national government had too little control and authority. Shays' Rebellion can easily reoccur.
The states will be overshadowed and won't have a say if the federal government is so powerful.
With the Articles of Confederation, the government couldn't collect taxes. Without taxes, we couldn't pay the soldiers to maintain a military.
Since the country was broke, we couldn't pay the soldiers and had Shays' Rebellion. States by themselves aren't powerful enough. They require the federal government to declare war for them.
Doesn't anybody remember what we've suffered through? If the states have power, we won't have another tyranny.
The federal government shouldn't have so much power.
Mr. Hamilton is right. The state governments aren't powerful enough to declare war by themselves. No one will take a state seriously, but as one nation, other countries will take notice.
After long heated debates, both sides compromised. Taxation will be controlled by the national and local governments.
Our society is evolving rapidly. We need to properly educate the new generation that will eventually continue our legacy.
The states should have about the same amount of powers as the federal government.
Isn't anybody reading my tweets? A federal government will misuse their power. States could better supervise the schools rather than the federal government. This is definitely a reasonable power for the states to have.
Education can have a huge impact on our future, so something of such importance should be dealt with by the national government.
Education is obviously important, but it wouldn't make sense for the federal government to worry about hundreds of thousands of schools. Each individual state should be able to oversee the education system.
Once again, we must compromise and agree on what is best for this country. The only solution is having federal and state courts. The Supreme Court will be the federal court and the highest court in the country. Each state and local government will have its own court.
The Anti-Federalists managed to convince the Federalists that education should be administered by the state government.
We definitely need a uniform currency. How are different states supposed to communicate and import goods if they each have a different form of currency?
If we leave it up to the Federalists, our government will become a tyranny.
When each state had their own currency, trading was extremely difficult between states and with other countries. This is why we need a national currency that can be controlled by the federal government. it was decided that the federal government should control the national currency. We need to learn from our mistakes in the Articles of Confederation. A major problem was that we didn't have a judiciary system to resolve arguments between states.
Obviously, a federal court will help solve matters between states. How are small state courts going to deal with huge problems? Remember Shays' Rebellion? The smaller, weaker courts were overrun by a bunch of poor farmers.
Every little conflict shouldn't go to the national government. Along with a federal court that deals with the difficult disputes, there should also be state courts.
A defendant in a court should be judged by his peers, and his peers are the people that live in his state. So, the jury can't be full of people who lead a different way of life.
If we leave it up to the Federalists, our government will become a tyranny.
Both sides agree that there must be a federal Supreme Court and local state courts.
We ended up with an organized nation that can now support its citizens, but it may be too powerful.
I'm still a bit unsure about the power of the federal government, but I guess this will work for now.
My goal was accomplished. The federal government doesn't have all the control. However, I still do wish that the states had some more power.
Well, this isn't too bad. At least we compromised without any huge issues. Now we have a fair government where power is equally divided by the federal and state governments.
During the Constitutional Convention, Federalists and Anti-Federalists compromised to reach an agreement on how federal and state powers would be balanced.